Mark, when Sam was asked about kind of next steps in J-Dub's game, he said it was kind of an open blank slate there. What are you noticing maybe so far about some things that he may have worked on over the summer? I know it's obviously very early, but any tracks that you feel like he might be headed down in terms of trying to improve?
I mean, the guys like him and Shai, I mean, the guys that play so much and have had so many minutes, their development becomes more nuanced pretty quickly. And that's probably the stage that he's at, mainly because of how complete he kind of has been, even this early in his career. I'd like to see him shoot more threes. I think with how he shoots it and with how he drives it, if he can shoot threes and force people to go play him a little bit higher, it creates more space for his drives, and it makes him even more difficult to guard. It improves our team distribution from the three-point line. But a lot of the other stuff is nuanced. It's some of the lessons from last season, inside the actions, continuing to be good off the ball, which he's great. Transition, cutting, his defense is something we don't take for granted with how hard he competes, the matchups he can take. So that's a few things.
We've seen a pretty incredible level of humility from a variety of guys on just being willing to work on different. I mean, Shai could rest on his laurels but doesn't. He comes back and is better every year. Lou, sort of with his restraint, Ooze adjusting things. What strikes you about that dynamic within the team in terms of the level of humility?
Well, I think it's a high level coming in the door. I think it's a credit to Sam and the scouts, and they do exhaustive work on these guys, whether it's in the draft or pro scouting, the guys in the NBA, to really understand the person and understand, one of the things that I think is invisible is, they're in the building right now. They're interacting with the chefs in the back and our PTs when they travel. You're spending a lot of time together that you're not playing basketball. And so having people that are like-minded and that like being around each other, that are respectful professionals, it matters. It stacks. And so we've got that. We're very fortunate. Like I said yesterday, somebody asked about Shai. It puts everybody that works here in a position of strength when the team is a bunch of good people that are willing to earn what they get.
Mark, I know telling people to shoot more threes is kind of like a broad point of emphasis. I mean, maybe it just comes with the times, but besides Dub, is there anyone specifically you're hoping shoots more threes this season?
I think the guys, like anything else, I think you kind of let the efficiency tell you who can handle more. And when a guy's doing something efficiently, that's usually a good sign that you can stretch him a little more. You can increase the challenge point. So a guy like Wiggins that's shot 40% plus for 2 straight seasons, he was close to 50 last year. If he wasn't 50, he can handle more volume, and remain efficient, So he's just one example, but we use that kind of framework when we look at any player. That was how Dub was. He was kind of just a system player when he started as a rookie, and he was just so efficient, and he was so he used his possession so well. It was like, all right, this guy probably warrants a little bit more, and once they clear those hurdles, you just keep putting the next hurdle in front of them until they kind of tell you where their game settles in. And I think the same thing goes for shooting, and we have a few guys like that obviously have shot it well on a really good selection, and now we're encouraging a little bit more aggressiveness.
Sam mentioned how you win in the playoffs with the pass, but also mentioned how that's something that's going to have to play out throughout experiences and throughout the season. How do you put an emphasis on that to start the season in training camp?
I mean, our emphasis in training camp, basketball is such a complex game. You have to be good at so many things to be a good team that we emphasize everything. It's like, and the things we've been good at, we don't rest on. You start over, and it's a new team, and we don't have this particular team doesn't have any habits built for this season yet. And so we go right back to the bottom, to base camp, on everything, things we've done well and the things we have to improve. And that's what camp's about. And then you go play the games, and the games start to give you feedback on the things that are strong that you need to maintain and the things that are lagging that you need to improve. And in a way, that's unpredictable year to year. And so we're trying to remain very open to what that is, but we definitely don't take anything for granted in camp. You know, we're working on everything.
You have coaches come in year after year during training camp. I assume that they're trying to get things from you, but also assume that you're picking from them. How does that help you as a coach?
I mean, first of all, we're really grateful that people come in and take the time. Seeing what jumps out to them, because they're not here, they're not in the bubble of our groupthink, you know, so the questions they have are insightful, because if they have those questions, maybe our players have those questions. They also kind of, in a way, the way that they're asking a question or the things that they're noticing can point out what the points of emphasis are on our end. So we learn from that. We take from everywhere. You know, a lot of our summer is, you know, turning over every rock to try to figure out if there's advantages. And we try to spend time with them. I mean, they're good basketball people, and everybody's team's different, so they've figured out ways to be resourceful, and, you know, we certainly try to learn as much as we can in that process.
Mark, you just mentioned, you know, with Doug and a guy like Wiggs just seeing last season and kind of going from there in terms of efficiency and what they can handle. Just watching Shai last season, I know he's been kind of more or less the same player for some time, but watching him last season, what does that tell you about what more he can handle, maybe where he dials back? Like, what are you seeing there?
I mean, he's at a point now, first of all, he's in the driver's seat of his own development. I've said that many times. He's not riding shotgun, you know, and so we give him a lot of autonomy. We're not micromanaging his development, because he does such a good job of self-assessing and working with great intention in the off seasons and even in season. So a lot of the stuff, you know, really the last 2 or 3 years that we've talked to him about has been more team oriented. Most of my conversations with him are less about how he's playing and what he's doing, and more about the team and what the team needs to do. Because I think great players, and he is a great player, do reach a certain threshold where it becomes as much about that as it does about their own individual game. Their ability to be contagious inside the team, their ability to make the team better. He's obviously proven that he can do that, but that's the direction of a lot of our conversations.
And Chet was just here saying that, you know, this team doesn't exactly have a Kevin Garnett, just in terms of, you know, that fiery personality, that very loud, vocal person. Just how have you seen him, you know, maybe shoulder some of that responsibility and try to be more vocal since he's been here?
Yeah, everybody's, you know, competitive personality is different. We're not trying to ask anybody to be something that they're not. I would say, you know, Cason Wallace is a fierce competitor and doesn't say a word. You know, Dort is a fierce competitor, doesn't say a word. Chet, more extroverted. Caruso, more extroverted. Dub, obviously, more extroverted. So we want them to be the best of what they can be, and we're not trying to, they don't need to be anybody else, and they don't need to be something that they're not. They just need to be a great competitor, and however they do that, they can do it.
With Chet,
Last one for Coach.
with Chet, when he is being vocal, like, what does that look like from your point of view?
Well, that position, you know, and Hartenstein, one of the things that stood out to me about him, and Jay Will's like this too, you know, those guys are really, really verbal players, and defensively especially, that position probably has to be the most vocal position on the court. And all three of those guys do a great job of that. Chet, you know, is always talking on the court. He's always communicating. He's always quarterbacking on the defensive end. Jay Will is a very bold communicator in his coverages, and Hartenstein, when we play against them, he's calling out when I call a play, he's echoing the call to the team and barking out orders, you know, at a high level. The best big I've seen do that before that was DeAndre Jordan used to do that really well, especially when he was on the Clippers. He would quarterback back there. And so all three of those guys, you know, their verbal communication is really, really impactful, especially on the defensive end.